So that's what I realized. Okay, we are really no longer friends. Like, we're not even like Facebook friends anymore. So I honestly have no idea what I did. I have no idea. It was just like, she unfollowed me from Instagram. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, if you make plans 6 times with someone, you keep trying and trying and trying and trying again, and every single time they have an excuse to not go. So that's basically how I found out that my friend of almost 20 years is not my friend anymore. Hey everyone, it's your girl Layla. Welcome back to my channel.
The grass ain't greener on the other side, no. You did me dirty for the last time, so now I gotta say goodbye.
Okay guys, I haven't done a storytime video in such a long time. I'm actually losing daylight right now. It is like, I'm gonna say it in the military time, which is 16:34. It is 4:34 right now in the afternoon. I am losing daylight fast. It usually stays pretty light out now until like 5, but it's been really gross out today. It's been like really gloomy and foggy. I was supposed to go skating today, but I decided against it because I thought the roads would be really bad, and just the overall look and feel of being outside right now is not something that I want. So I thought I would film the story time anyways. And yeah, if you guys are not already subscribed, please go ahead, click that subscribe button below. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. So let's get right into it, you guys. Okay, so I promised myself a long time ago that I would never make a video about this person. I'm gonna name her for the sake of this video. I'm gonna call her Shirley. So I promised myself that I would never make a video about Shirley because we had such a, I don't know, such a long friendship. We've been friends since high school, which, you know, looking back, I think that was like 2006 that we started being friends. Yeah, 2006. I feel so old when I think about like how long ago high school was, but we've been friends for almost 20 years. We didn't quite make it to the 20-year mark, but because that would have been next year. That is not where this story time is going. If you want to keep watching the story time, I suggest getting a snack, getting an iced coffee or something like that, and chilling with me because there's a lot. I'm not gonna go into detail on all the bad stuff that's happened and all of the crazy experiences that we've had and the crazy fights and all that. That's not what this video is about. This is about closing a chapter and being like pretty much blindsided. Like, I didn't know that we were not friends anymore. I didn't. So I'm gonna talk about that today, and I really want this video to be helpful to me, to myself, to just like talk about it and let it go. And yeah, talking to the camera is almost like free therapy, to be honest. I don't want this video, or me putting up this video, to take away from all of the good experiences that I've had with this person. I have had great experiences with Shirley. Like, we've had a very long, fulfilling friendship. And there were times where she was like a sister to me. There was a lot of times where she was like a sister to me. We hiked our first mountain together. There's just so many memories that I have of her, and I wish her nothing but the best. I hope that, you know, the rest of her life is fulfilled as she wants it to be, you know? I don't have any hard feelings toward her. And like I said, there's so many good memories. There's so many like mountains that we did together, so many like belly laughs. I spent my 30th birthday on top of a mountain with this girl with like balloons. Honestly, wouldn't have changed it at all. I honestly wouldn't have wanted to spend those experiences that I've had with her with anyone else. So without further ado, let's get into this confusing story time of how I don't even know what to call this video, to be honest. I don't. I'm gonna talk about why we are not friends anymore. So, me and Shirley had a pretty good friendship from high school onward until our adulthood. And I feel like not only did I change, but she also changed. And she could argue until she's blue in the face about how I changed as a person and how I'm different now. And I feel like back in high school, I didn't have any confidence at all. I didn't have any confidence within myself. I had very low self-esteem until I got into my 20s. I think this happens, and I think it's very common with women. I think that when we get into our 20s, we really don't care anymore. Like, I don't know, does that make sense? We have that confidence now. We have the confidence because we've lived, we've had experiences already. So my late 20s, yeah, I definitely had confidence. I knew how to speak my mind, and I didn't want to be a doormat anymore. I didn't want to be treated as a doormat anymore. And I think that's kind of when we started conflicting. I think that's when we started butting heads, was when I stopped taking shit from people. Simple. Like, when I stopped taking shit from people and I had confidence within myself and I could defend myself in certain situations when I couldn't before, that's when our friendship started to kind of, I don't want to say dwindle, because it really didn't. We had some great experiences in our 20s and stuff like that, but that's when we really started to butt heads. And our friendship became more toxic. And then there were times where we wouldn't talk to each other for a year. We wouldn't talk to each other for 6 months. There was gaps where we wouldn't talk to each other at all. And that's where I thought that this was going. I thought that this experience between us was just like a gap where we didn't talk to each other again. But I look back on those gaps in our friendship and I realized who ended up putting those pieces back together. It was me. I would reach out to her every single time after a year, after 6 months, after however long it was, whether or not we got in a big blowout fight, whether or not something happened between us where we didn't talk for that amount of time, I would be the one to reach out to her. And this time around, I didn't. I think that in my 30s, I want to be more like this. I have another friend that I feel like if I didn't reach out to her, if I didn't say anything, we would never see each other again. And that's kind of like, that's really sad when it depends on one person to hold an entire friendship together. So yeah, this time around, I didn't reach out to her. So we'll go back into 2023. Oh my gosh, that was like 2 years ago. So I'm pretty sure this is when I had my first camping experience. I had a lot of like first experiences with her, to be honest, and the first time I ever went camping was with her, and our friendship was doing well. I would say from this point, it was like a whole year before that we weren't talking, that I reached out to her, we went for a walk, had coffee, we went on a hike, and we're like, okay, you know, this can work. We just need to talk about our problems more. If there is something that one person is doing that another person doesn't like, we need to like discuss it right away so it's not swept under the rug, because this was like a constant thing between us. If there was something wrong, we would kind of like discuss it over social media, and she would call me a keyboard warrior and all these things, and in person it just kind of got swept under the rug. Like, we would never discuss it, and that's so toxic. I think that's so toxic. I think that if you have a problem with someone or you have something that you want to say, you need to be telling them in person, because this whole like, I'm only gonna talk to you over social media and have these like blow up fights with you on social media is not like ideal. It's not going to get you anywhere. When you see each other in person and you just sweep it under the rug, it's not healthy. So 2023, we had a pretty good year. We didn't really fight or anything like that up until about the end of August. The end of August, we went on a camping trip together. We were discussing on our next hiking trip, which was happening literally like the next day. We would be getting back from camping on like the Monday, and then we would be hiking on the Tuesday, literally the next day. And we had these plans for a while. There was like no getting out of these plans. It was like you had to get a shuttle, which was extremely hard to get a shuttle to this place. And we were discussing on where we should meet. I wanted to meet halfway. She wanted me to meet her at her house. It was a whole thing. We didn't talk to each other for our 3-hour drive back to where we live. We literally didn't speak in the car for 3 hours. I was driving, it was pouring rain, I was blasting music, and this girl's right beside me, not talking to me. So I'm pretty sure that's when this whole thing started anyways. So that happened. The next day, again, it gets swept under the rug. We go on this hike together. We didn't have a good experience, but it was something that we could laugh about because we were in a group of people. It was just the weather. The weather was extremely bad, to be completely honest with you. And it was just like of all the things that could go wrong, it had to be the weather and it pouring rain that day. By the way, if you guys can hear any background noise, they're literally scraping concrete. I'm not even kidding you. Like, there's a hole with concrete surrounding it and they're scraping the concrete. I have no idea what they're doing, but they've been doing it for days now and it doesn't look like they're getting anywhere, but they keep doing it and it's super loud. Yes, our 3-hour car ride, we didn't speak to each other. The next time we hung out, it was completely fine. We just didn't discuss any of what went wrong, why we didn't talk to each other. And we just had like a day. It was an experience. Fast forward, that was in September. Fast forward to October. So it was about to be my birthday and we were kind of like planning it a little bit. She was like, I'm going away. She was going on a trip and she was like, I won't be here for your birthday, but we can do something afterwards. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Shirley was getting back, I think, on my birthday. And we are part of this group chat with our 2 other high school friends. So I planned something like a few days after. So she would be back from her trip already. I was planning on something after so she could join. So I was messaging the group and everything. And right on my birthday, this was like, I think my birthday was on a Tuesday. And then we were supposed to have dinner on the weekend because Shirley worked a 9 to 5 and my other 2 friends also like are free on the weekend. So on my birthday, which was on the Tuesday, I ended up getting COVID. I'm pretty sure it was COVID. I couldn't taste anything and I was sick for like a while. I was sick for like 2 weeks straight. It might have been the flu, but I'm pretty sure I had COVID. Anyways, I got COVID on my birthday and I had to cancel those plans. So I canceled the first time, right? I was like, I cannot do this. Let's reschedule to the following week. Now the following week came along and I like to basically message people a few days ahead of time just to see if this plan is actually going through and I'm not gonna get, you know, like ghosted at my own birthday. So the following week, midweek, I reach out to my friends and I'm like, hey, are we still going on the Saturday or whatever? And one of them was like, no, I'm not free. Shirley was like, I'm sick right now. I can't go anywhere. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Let's reschedule it to the following week. So we rescheduled it to the following week, which is now, I think, very close to the end of October, almost November. And Shirley was basically like, oh, sorry, like I can't go, I'm still sick. My other friend couldn't go. So it was just me and my other friend that actually celebrated my birthday together that year. Fast forward through November into December, my friends and I go, like it's like almost a tradition to go to the Christmas lights every year. We go to a couple Christmas light events, usually like the free ones that are around the city and all of that. So all of us kind of organized that we would be meeting for these lights and Shirley basically said, no, I can't go. We tried a different date. Shirley said, no, I can't go. So ultimately what ended up happening is me and my 2 friends ended up going to the lights without Shirley. And then we'd plan to go to other lights. Now I do this because of Vlogmas content. I like going to Christmas lights every year and stuff like that. And it's actually like a fun thing you can do with your friends that doesn't cost very much money. So we plan to go the following Saturday. I reached out to the group and I was like, are you guys still coming? Shirley was like, what? Like, I'm not coming. I'm not free or whatever. I was like, I wasn't even gonna ask you. If you haven't been following, I haven't seen Shirley since the beginning of September because for my birthday, I ended up canceling the first time. We rescheduled, Shirley couldn't go. We rescheduled again, Shirley couldn't go. We scheduled these Christmas lights for the beginning of December, Shirley couldn't go. We rescheduled again for like mid-December, Shirley couldn't go. So like why, like this is the 6th time now, like why would she go for the 6th time? So I was like, no, I was just basically talking to my other 2 friends. We're all planning the lights on this day. I kind of figured that you wouldn't be available. So she was kind of like offended by this, but it's true. Like if you make plans 6 times with someone, you keep trying and trying and trying and trying again, and every single time they have an excuse to not go, Why would you invite them again? That happened. And then in January, so this would be 2024, me and Shirley were still sharing our parks pass. So in order to go to the national parks here in Canada, you need to have a pass in your vehicle. And Shirley and I would split this because we were very much into hiking, right? So this pass is about, I think like $150, $160 now. And we would just basically split it every year. Whenever our family members would need it, we would give it to them and we would just share the pass amongst ourselves, and we would go on trips together, separately, whatever the case may be. And I reached out to her back in January because I was like, hey, I need the pass because I'm going on this hike with my friend and I need the pass. And so we met up eventually. Like it kind of took us like a few days to figure out when each other was available, and we did end up meeting up. She gave me a very late birthday gift and the parks pass. And the whole situation was so awkward because, you know, not seeing your friend since September, it's now the end of January. So it's like, this is supposedly like my best friend, right? This is supposedly like my sister. This is like September, October, November, December, January. It's been 5 months since we've seen each other. And the whole interaction was super awkward. She handed me the gift and the pass was inside it. And it was a whole interaction with like very little talking. I think we said maybe 3 words to each other and that was it. And not seeing your best friend for 5 months, you'd think that you'd go have coffee. You go to the food court and have dinner together or something like that. Or just spend some moments in whatever store you're in the mall to like talk to them, to see how they are, because it's been months. But there was none of that. That did not happen. She basically handed it to me and left. And I had to awkwardly walk behind her all the way up until the door where I parked my car. So that was my last time, you know, ever like hanging out with her. It wasn't a hangout, it was literally to pick this up. And we didn't talk for months. Now back in the summertime, a couple things happened. So my fiance Andy, he actually told me he unfollowed her on Instagram. I didn't ask him to unfollow her on Instagram, he just did it. I don't know why, I don't know what the reason was. He just randomly told me one day, oh yeah, I unfollowed Shirley. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever, I don't care. We're not, like, him and I don't even follow each other on Instagram, so that's like, that's how little I care about him following Shirley. Oh my god, the construction is like literally hurting my brain right now. It is getting louder and I'm trying to talk over it. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't ask him why he unfollowed her, nothing like that, because I really don't care. And one of my friends, different friend group, also told me that she unfollowed Shirley on Instagram. And I was like, okay, I also didn't pry. I also didn't ask why. She just said, I unfollowed Shirley. I'm like, okay, again, don't care who my friends are following on Instagram. Don't care to like ask for an explanation. I didn't say anything. I was like, cool, you know? And by that point, like I hadn't spoken to this girl for months, right? I hadn't seen her in months. And then September came along and one of my friends in our little group chat was like, we should do something for Halloween. Let's do this ghost tour. And I was like, okay, cool. We kind of planned it, we bought tickets, all that stuff. Me and my other 2 friends from that group, we kind of like organized what we were doing, when we were doing it, where we were meeting, all that stuff. We were organizing that. We all bought our own tickets, and I didn't think Shirley was coming because Shirley didn't answer a single message in that group chat. I think maybe she answered one where it was like, oh, you guys bought your tickets, cool, or something like that. I don't know. Or are we buying tickets today? She might have said like one thing, but I did not realize that she would be coming at all because she didn't reply to any of the messages. So I was like, okay, like this is weird, whatever. We went to this ghost tour thing and I actually was the one to say hi to her. She walked up to us and I was like, oh, she's here. That's like in my mind, I was like, oh, she's here. That's weird because she didn't reply to any of the messages. She's here, cool. Literally, it was just like a hi. I was like, hey, how are you? How's it going? She's like, good. Walks completely past me to Andy, my friend's husband and my other friend and her husband, because me and my other friend are like talking to each other. So she basically just like says, yeah, hi, good, and she just walks past us and just does not speak to me for the rest of the night. It was so awkward. So we kind of just basically split into groups for this ghost tour. So it was me, Andy, my friend, her husband, and then Shirley, my other friend, and her husband were like nowhere to be found basically the whole night. We were like not in a big group together anyways. So I thought that was weird. I thought that was a weird interaction, but like honestly, so far it's just been nothing but weird interactions with her since, you know, September of the year before. So why did I think it would be different a year later? I don't know. Because I didn't reach out to her. I don't know. I don't know what that whole thing was, but it was such a awkward night. Then we were all gonna go eat together, and this was kind of important to me because it was around my birthday again, like, so it had literally been a full year, right? So it was kind of important for me to like actually go out with my friends that night and have like dinner together or something like that. Maybe like Shirley and I could like talk. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm like left in the dark. I don't know why she's not talking to me. I don't know any of that. I don't know why. So honestly, I was like hoping that we could all go to dinner together and we could maybe have a discussion or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but basically when we got to the restaurant, the wait time was half an hour for a table, and Shirley decides to leave with my friend and her husband. So they all went on their own. I stayed, my other friend stayed, her husband stayed, and Andy stayed, and we all just had dinner together. That was my last time seeing her. And a month after that goes by and I'm on Instagram. You know your suggestions on Instagram, for example, you click on one and their account is private. So under their profile, it will say all the people that Instagram basically suggests that you follow because you have mutual followers with them. She was in my suggestions. So basically she unfollowed me on Instagram. She took herself off of my follows list because before, when we had our little argument and we didn't speak to each other for 6 months or so, she did unfollow me from Instagram back then. And then she like refollowed me when we started talking to each other again. So this time around, she basically removed herself from my followers list and she, you know, unfollowed me. That's basically how I knew that we weren't friends anymore. I didn't receive any like message on like why we're no longer friends anymore. Like I honestly have no idea what I did. I have no idea. It was just like she unfollowed me from Instagram. I'm like, okay, cool. Again, I don't care enough to actually reach out to her and be like, hey, why'd you unfollow me? I kind of just mentioned it to Andy really briefly. Like we were like in the car and I was like, oh, guess who unfollowed me on Instagram? Shirley. And he's like, oh, did she unfriend you on Facebook too? And I was like, no, I don't think so. We've never deleted each other before on Facebook. We've never gotten in a fight that bad where we had to delete each other on Facebook before. It's like never happened. But okay, like a week later on Facebook, where it has all the people that, you know, you should be friends with, your friends' suggestions or whatever. Tell me why Shirley is on there. It says we have 71 mutual friends. So that's when I realized, okay, we are really no longer friends. Like we're not even like Facebook friends anymore. So I don't know what I did. I don't know if she thought that I was telling people to unfollow her or anything like that. I honestly don't know why. So that's basically how I found out that my friend of almost 20 years is not my friend anymore because she deleted me. Yeah. And honestly, there's so many red flags and toxicness about that friendship that, you know, I chose to ignore a lot of the time. I've gotten advice from people saying that's not your friend. I've had older people in my life that's not like my parents or anything like that. They're still my family, but they're not like my parents. And that have said that they've let go of friendships that they had for 40 years because they started to get toxic. So, you know, for it being almost 20 years, that's not that bad. sad and I'm like, oh my god. That is basically my story time on how I found out I was no longer friends with my best friend. Yeah, I'm still very extremely confused about what happened. Honestly, I really want someone to like explain it to me because I have no idea. And I'm not willing to reach out to her to salvage this friendship again because I have done that way too many times in the past. If we look at whose turn it is to do that, it's not mine. So I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, that is basically my story time. The construction out there is just getting louder and louder and louder. So I'm gonna let you guys go. I do hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you guys want more story times, definitely leave it in the comments below letting me know that that's what you would like to see from me. And if you are not already subscribed, please go ahead, click that subscribe button below. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye.
I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before.